Welcome to the Marvel Cinematic University podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Canton III, and we are concluding our coverage of the Disney Plus series Wonder Man, episodes 5 through 8. Happy to be discussing that. And I'm also happy to mention patreon.com/MCUniversityPod where you get our bonus content. This month, subscriber mailbag, and we are choosing a movie franchise very, very soon.
No, it's over.
I always confuse like when this gets figured out and stuff, but we are doing Blade. We're doing Blade, guys. Over the next 3 months, we'll be doing Blade 2, and Blade Trinity. Very excited to do that. Looking forward to perhaps getting a cast of characters on for some of those episodes. But you could get all that plus our Discord stuff for $3 and the backlog of every single episode that we've done over the past 5 years that this Patreon has existed. And if you're watching on YouTube, please like, comment, and subscribe. And with that being said, let me introduce the super producer, Jake Christie. Jake, how are you?
I'm doing well. Excited to talk about the show. Excited at the panel that we've impaneled.
Yes, we do have a wonderful panel. And returning our pal Teej. Better call Teej. We have, listen, this man is a force of nature, is the best way to describe him. And I just love the brand of chaos that he brings everywhere that he goes. Teej, welcome back to the program. How you doing, sir?
Thank you. Happy to be here. Excited to talk about Wonder Man a little bit more.
Yes. Definitely looking forward to your takes on that. And we do have a friend of the show returning, our previous narrator for the table read, the second table read. He's been on with us a couple of times. Pal, friend, MOZIAH. MOZIAH, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. I'm happy to be here. My life just got a little bit better. I just followed Teej on Twitter. Like I'm fully tapped in. Already, my quality of life increased. It's amazing.
So full disclosure, before we hit the record button, Jake asked me, he said, because I originally had a more tame Better Call Teej segment for the week, because I found a tweeted a more tame one, because I try not to go too crazy. But Jake said he saw something on the timeline, which I have to admit, without even asking, I know what he's talking about. Jake, do you feel free to ask Teej about this in the Better Call Teej segment of the week?
Yeah, so the Better Call Teej segment, for people who don't know, is where we ask Teej about something he tweeted. And the thing that Teej always tweets, which we talked about before, is that he'll see something that's absolutely disgusting or absolutely heinous and feel the need to have to quote tweet it with something along the lines of like, what is this? Or WTF. And it's like, we don't need to see this, right? So earlier today, someone tweeted out a video of a 3-year-old child breastfeeding. And the caption is breastfeeding a 3-year-old child an okay thing to do? And Teej says, LMAO at this being content, what's going on, man? Okay, that's fine.
Wait, there's much needed context to this. Someone posted this on TikTok. Now, I'm not a TikTok person, but Jake, you are. And I thought that they had screenings for stuff like this on TikTok.
I understand.
I didn't know you could post content like this on TikTok.
That's not the thing I find objectionable. You shouldn't have put it in my timeline, but whatever, I'm used to it. I'm following you. Because you followed up with Teej. Teej, do you remember what you followed up with? You followed up with, and I quote, and I'm quoting, so no one can say that I said this. Teej said this. That kid's hands are bigger than her titties, and her titties are huge, man. Like, what are we doing? Why is she filming this and posting it?
That is a legitimate question. I didn't even know you could post stuff like that on TikTok.
Just stop obfuscating for the fact that you had to comment on the hand.
I gotta say, that sounds like some really, really big 3-year-old hands. Like,
oh
God. I just only you would be like,
allowing that kind of stuff.
I think you're right, but once again, why did you have to comment on the size?
You can't even post stuff on TikTok about Israel, but you could post yourself breastfeeding a child that is like, this kid is big as hell. That's just, like, what are we doing?
So that's better.
It's funny that we're talking about this because I just landed on a tweet of yours that says Slammers is hilarious talking about titties.
Slammers is an objectively funny word that white people came up with to describe breasts. That's it.
Slammers sounds like some kind of sports term or some kind of like. Yes. It sounds like how my neighbor would describe a slam dunk.
Oh, good Lord! Oh my gosh! Wonder Man, guys! Wonder Man! I gotta say,
slammer.
Yeah, it sure it goddamn is. There you go, Mosiah. I will say this before I throw it to Mosiah because I want to get his general thoughts on things. But I do want to say, just generally speaking regarding this show, after the first 4 episodes, I felt really good about what I was watching. After the final 4 episodes, I was like, "Oh damn, they really need to have a season 2 of this. It does need to keep going." Like that's my earliest, quickest take on what they need to keep this going because I don't think you have this is very rare that somebody could come into the MCU and automatically be like for me personally a top character which I want to see going forward. The Simon
Mm,
Williams character is incredible. Like shout out to Yaya and his performance throughout that series. Truly incredible. I'll leave it at that for now and go over his praises more as we keep going. But Mosiah, I wanted to get your general thoughts on what you've thought about the series, considering some of the stuff that you're involved with in your own life and how that relates to you. How did you
sure.
view Wonder Man as a series?
Oh my gosh, Wonder Man was really special to watch, and I think it kind of underpromised, over delivered for me. So Jake Jake reached out and he was like, "Yeah, check out the series. We're going to talk about it." And I was like, "Bet." And I was
Yeah.
thinking, "Oh, it's about an actor," but then
Yeah,
to
that's
see
why
it's
I
about
asked
it.
you.
Yeah, and that is correct. But also it's like, oh, it's a Haitian actor. And being able to see, I know we're not talking about episode 3, but like being
No,
able
go
to
for
see
it.
episode 3 and see, oh, here's a guy coming to his family and explaining to his Haitian family what they do, like what he does on a Disney Plus show was really, really special. On top of that, it's just great storytelling throughout. Really, I think like the tension between what Trevor has to do and his friendship with Simon, like it's really, really interesting and really cool. And then also it feels like a love letter to acting overall. Like episode 3 has a part where Trevor says like, well, it's not, your job is not getting the job, your job is to act, and there's so many different ways to act. And I've had so many mentors, I've had so many people in my life as an actor who not only embody that philosophy but will reinforce that philosophy in how they mentor others. So
Mhm.
it's a really, really special show. It's made with a lot of heart. It makes me excited about Brand New Day because Destin Daniel Cretton is
Oh
a
yeah.
part of that as well. And Doorman, I'm showing Doorman to my kids. Like that is
Yeah.
that was a really, really fun episode.
Now, Mosiah, I think I want to ask you about, and we briefly touched on this before, but
Yeah.
obviously this is about auditioning for a big superhero project, which is a thing that you sort of did in some ways. Do you mind talking about that as much as you can? Because I know that that's a story you've discussed with me before.
There's not much to talk about there, but when I first started auditioning 10 years ago, I did audition for Spider-Man Homecoming. And it was a blast. I don't know who I auditioned for, but I think it was Flash for whatever reason. But they
Mhm.
gave you sides that did not end up in the final project at all. But it was super interesting. I had to sign an NDA. I went into an office. I got sides that had nothing to do with it. Basically, you get your. It's kind of like watching. It's kind of like what Sadie Sink is going through in terms of like, oh, everyone wants to know about your character, but she has to keep it lock and key. Like it's like that auditioning for the thing too, where it's just like you want to get an idea, but everything is kept locked, like kept
Mm.
under
Mhm.
wraps overall. I did not end up going into a mansion with a bunch of people, just like our friend here, but it was exciting overall to do a project like that, and I felt like I was walking on eggshells the entire time. Like it was scary,
Have
to
you
be
ever considered that if you did get that part, it will be you in that meme that people always use to talk about how bad the green screen is in No Way Home?
honest. Yep, yep. I thought about it, and if it was me, I'd probably be wearing a green shirt that day or
Yeah.
something. Like it would add to the layers of it.
And
I,
I'll,
I
yeah,
oh no, I was gonna say I think about that all the time.
yeah.
I think he talks about. I think they talk about it in the show, but or even just seeing like the audition tapes, or
Yeah.
seeing Trevor talk about, oh yeah, this is the audition I didn't get, or I don't even remember this gig that I did get. Like that feeling always comes. That feeling always comes up. Even you reminding me that's like, oh, I did audition for a superhero project. Like, whoa, that was a part of my lore. I didn't realize it.
And one last question about the first couple episodes. Do you
Yeah.
have a particularly hilarious self-tape story? Because that episode felt like it was ripped from the souls of the people who made the show.
Oh man. Okay, so there was one time where I actually, for a feature film that I did a year ago now, that's still doing the festival circuit, I had auditioned for it, and me and my friend did a bunch of takes of it. I really liked the script. It was this Halloween project by by a friend from NYU, and I auditioned for it. I loved it. I had a blast doing it. But then during three of the takes, my green screen fell because I was doing this slide in. I was sliding in similar to risky business, and at one point I slid a little too far and the green screen went with me. And so it fell. And so I was like, we got to keep that in. We got to keep it in. So we tacked it on at the end as a button, and I ended up getting a call 2 weeks later saying like, "Hey, you got it. You got the part." And
Nice.
there was a whole tape there and everything. I did my, I acted within it, but I'd like to think that the green screen falling is what got me the gig.
Absolutely.
Oh man, excellent stuff, man. I appreciate you giving us a little insight to what your life has been like as far as that aspect is concerned. Because I think just in speaking to what has been going on with that show and how people have discussed it and talked about it, it just seems like, to your point, there's so much heart in it, and the heart and the center of that is the experiences of everybody who has gone through the whole trying to audition, gone through the whole trying to make
Yep,
it. Uh, Little parts here, taking what you can there, getting to a point where they might want to offer you a project and stuff like that, and you have to decide whether you want to take a shitty project or keep going and stuff like that. Like it's great that they chose this fashion instead of just making it a straightforward guy who has powers as an actor and then all of a sudden springs into action as a superhero. No, this told a real story with depth, and
absolutely.
it felt so good to watch to completion, to which I will now send it over to Teach, because over the past weekend, you were on Twitter. You were making comments about a Wonder Man, which seemed to get a lot of your pals not upset a little bit about some of your takes in terms of Wonder Man being mid, which was a quote from you. If I may ask, just generally speaking, and we can dive into it further, what led you? What about the story did not land for you overall, as far as Wonder Man is concerned?
It's not the story. I think the story of an actor trying to make it is really really fun. Like I think that part of the series really works. But I just find the overall, like, if you describe to me Wonder Man on paper, I would picture something that is less. I feel like I was just kind of bored. Like I wasn't ever like
Okay.
bored to like I want to turn this off. I was never like I'm not going to watch this anymore. But I was kind of bored. But you know what I realized? I think that I am higher on some of the shows that some people don't like in the MCU and lower on Wonder Man than the general audience, which I'm perfectly fine with. Like I think I've watched Miss Marvel. I think I've watched that show like 5 times. Like it is so
This Marvel's really good.
it is so amazing. I think so too, but I know that there are some people that are just really down on it or just never chose to watch it because they just thought it would be bad. But like, I love Miss Marvel. I have this show. I think it's missing something. I think it's missing like, and I really hate to be this guy, but like,
Mhm.
this isn't a superhero show, which is perfectly fine. I also think that it's what's hurting it for me is unfortunately because I'm watching so many other great shows at the moment that like
Mhm.
when I have to turn away from the pit or turn away from industry to turn on Wonder Man, I was just like, God, I would really like to be watching industry. Like this is the most interesting show on TV, as opposed to watching. It's like I think in my brain I have siloed like these are the superhero shows, and then these are the like general artsy fartsy shows, or here are the like trash reality shows, and it's like Wonder Man is like, okay, this is the concept is really cool, but just sitting there watching like 4 episodes of 30 minutes of Wonder Man, I'm like, this is cool. I like Yaha. He's great in his performance. I like the Trevor Slattery character. I think they're doing cool stuff. But like, holy shit, I really need an action sequence to break up some of this stuff.
Or you need some high-powered trading in the city of London, one of the two,
or a villain, yes, or a sex scene or something. Like I needed something. Like the fact that
slammers.
So you're saying that you thought
that's what it was missing.
The scene where he reconnects with Vivian, you wanted it to end differently, is what you're saying.
Yeah. If that was basically an industry, like, there would have been some group sex. Like, industry's crazy. That's the craziest show on TV. But
he checked Common Sense Media, and there was 0 slammers, and he was like,
there are parts of the second half of the season that I liked, but once I realized that we were like legitimately weren't going to have a villain, it was just like let's hang out with these two guys, and at some point Wonder Man is going to realize that his only friend really has betrayed him. I was like, okay, like that's what I'm looking forward to. The moment where we realize that Wonder Man now knows that he's been betrayed, kind of like what's happening in the script. Like I understand mapping those two things on top of each other. But then we get there and it's like, okay, cool. So now he's going to go to jail. But immediately I was like, he's not going to actually stay in jail. And whether they show him get out of jail in this series or not, like it meant nothing to me. Because it was like, this is a sacrifice that should make me feel like this is a redemptive arc for this character that we've been rooting for the whole time. We know that he's conflicted. Like we know that he's a spy, but we know that after he met Simon, like he sees Simon as a good guy and he's conflicted. But when he makes the ultimate decision to like, oh, come arrest me, like I'm the one who blew up the studio, I was like, this has actually no stakes whatsoever. And I just waited 8 episodes or 7 episodes, whatever episode that happens in, to get to a moment where I know immediately that there's no stakes. And part of that is the nature of comic book storytelling of like, we know that character is probably going to be used again, especially if we see Wonder Man again. Like we know that we're going to see the Mandarin again. So like him making that decision was like not only just totally I saw it coming, but it was like it doesn't mean anything because he's going to get out of jail somehow. And then the way he gets out of jail, not to spoil yet, it's just like I was like, so now we're showing him he's done maybe 2 superhero things in this whole show, and all of a sudden now he's fucking Clark Kent.
Can I give a rebuttal to what you're saying? Because I think I've said this many times in the show, but one of the smartest things that I ever learned in college that I still remember a lot is that the difference between drama television and comedy television is that drama TV show is every episode is about the life and death of a character in close proximity, whether that be literal or figurative. And comedy is the life and death of a relationship. It's why every great comedy show is like, oh, is the gang going to break up? Are they going to stop being friends? And so I think the thing about Wonder Man is it is very much structured like a comedy. So what I was tracking is not will Trevor Slattery be okay? It's will Simon forgive him? Like that's the thing I'm tracking. And that's why when he decides to break him out of prison, the notable thing is Simon, who's been so afraid to use his powers, he's been so reticent to put himself in jeopardy at all. He has forgiven Trevor to the point where he is willing to jeopardize all of that in order to break him out of prison. That's how I took that ending to be, as opposed to like, yeah, I knew they were going to break him out, but I'm like, it's not that type of show. It's a type of show where it's about them reconciling and realizing that yes, he lied to him. Yes, they've been untruthful, but they're good friends. They were good for each other. And it made me happy that he, broke him out, and he gave that prison guard a lot of money. Because I thought that guy was gonna get screwed. I'm like, if this guy gets fucking fired,
that guy is gonna get screwed. But now he has money. But he's definitely losing that job. Like, he's done. He's totally done.
I think the thing that I would say, and I think Jake makes a lot of great points there. For me, the theme of the show is Simon getting over himself, and a lot of that plays throughout. I thought the conversation with Vivian was illuminating in that sense because of the way that he is just so insecure about himself to not just his family. It's just to everybody. It doesn't matter who it is. When it comes to his life and his powers and how that affects everything around him, and including the fact that his father, who it seems like he had the closest relationship with, entrusted him in a way by saying that you have this talent, like you have this ability to act, and this is becomes when something becomes your singular focus and you can't get it right. And I feel like everybody's experienced this before. If when you want to do something and you want to be great at it, but it's not happening, it feels like it affects every part of your life.
Yeah.
And whether you have, whether it's family, whether it's friends, whether it's a significant other or anything like that, they all kind of, it becomes the you will not understand what I'm going through. And you kind of end up turning and you go into a shell. And what we see throughout this show is Simon in a shell. And
Yeah.
he's in his own way, he doesn't even want to come out. And what Trevor does throughout the show is bring him out of that shell. And even that's why episode 7 to episodes the end of episode 6 and episode 7 are extremely powerful. And I mean that because Trevor takes him out of that shell. Like he's fighting himself, he's struggling with at the mansion and stuff like that. Trevor pulls it out of him. He gets him to a place where he feels comfortable and confident about who he is and where he's going and what he wants to do and getting that role. And then episode 7 happens. And this person that he put all this trust in, all this faith in, betrays him. And for somebody, it's one thing to betray a regular person who just goes throughout their day and has their relationships and whatnot. That happens to a lot of people, and I'm not making light of it. I'm just saying that happens to a lot of people. But for specifically for Simon, who we've kind of seen, and this is why episode 3 is so important with the family stuff, because what his mom says is so important to realizing who this character is. So when he finds out that Trevor betrays him, and this is why Yaya does such an incredible job in portraying that betrayal. This man pulled me out of my shell, made me vulnerable, and it's just bullshit.
Yeah.
That if you get something like that, yo, that's gonna hit in the way that the tears, like the
fact that it was real, the fact that the advice he gave from work made it hurt more. That
Yes.
it was that, and I think the thing that's so beautiful about the advice is Simon doesn't realize that keeping himself in that shell to protect himself is why he is not succeeding at acting. And so the fact that Trevor's advice helped him get the thing he wanted more than anything in the world, and also Trevor betrayed him. That's what hurts.
Yeah.
And also
so
on top of that, like,
go ahead.
I love the fact that him coming out of his shell and him showing his true self has like real stakes throughout. Like there's a whole thing about disclosing that you're a superhero in this world, like in Hollywood, because of the whole the doorman thing. And I feel like that added so much weight to all of it. It could have just been a thing where it's just like, oh, this guy's an actor and he's in this and he's also a superhero. You know what I mean? But the fact that there's also this layer of me coming out of my shell has real consequences. And also having a man of color do it. You know what I mean? Like there's so many
There's so many levels to
it
it.
works in so many ways.
Can I ask you a question? Okay, so this is like gonna be like 1/3 of my Daredevil season 3 take. When there was that scene with him and Vivian, and this might just be because I watched too many raunchy 2000s comedies. When they're talking, and she's like, and they're talking about like my secret. It's like, I knew your secret. Was I the only one who thought that there was going to be a joke where the misunderstanding was that he's going to say, like, I have superpowers, and at the same time she goes, you're gay? Or was I the only one who thought that?
Like he has like
They kept just saying, your secret, and you'll find some. Like, the fact it was, you'll find someone who you can share that secret with. I'm like, she doesn't sound like she's talking about powers.
I'm curious if that was in the writer's room, because that would be really funny where it's like, I know your secret. Like, I know your secret. All right, you know I have superpowers. Like, wait, no, I thought you were talking about like your foot thing. You know what I mean? Like, I thought you were talking about
okay, I'm being stupid, but one, that is a thing I actually thought, and two, I go back to they don't. All they say is your secret, and you'll find someone you can share it with. I'm like, that is just like, if this was 2007, that joke writes itself. But thankfully, it's not. But anyway, that's right. I'm like, are we really doing that?
I thought the funny part the funny part about that is, and the reason why I didn't was because of how episode 7 just plays heavily throughout on Simon's insecurities, like throughout the episode, like from everything to the New York Times piece, just and then him with the line wanting to add the extra line again with Von Kovac, and then Trevor having to tell him like, "Hey, this is how we should do it," yada yada, and kind of calming him down there.
See,
Like
see, Mosiah, he
episode
is a much
7
you're a much easier actor to work with than Simon Williams. I'll tell you that much. Having worked with you,
yeah. Episode 7 reminded me. I really love. It reminded me a lot of both Barry and Atlanta, and the studio a little bit, because it was like, even though he made it, even though he got the thing that he wanted, especially Atlanta season 3 and 4, even though he got what he wanted, like, there's still problems. There's still things that happens. There's still little moments of conflict. And I think the New York Times piece was, especially someone who keeps up with press tours, I really appreciated it. You know what I mean? Like, I read a feature before I watch a show. And it's really cool to see, the other side of that. It's like, they're going to deep dive on me and they're going to find out this thing about me and that thing about me. And I don't know, it's really fun. And it reminded me very fondly of shows that we're seeing that sort of demystifies Hollywood, or like success in that way, like the studio Barry in Atlanta.
Yeah.
No, I'd say this is a great comparison. I like that. Jake, I wanted to get your take on these 4 episodes. Like, well, how did you feel about what you saw and what you took from it?
I mean, I thought it was the consistency of the character arc. I think was really special, especially because the show takes place over. Eventually, it takes place over like a somewhat compressed period of time between episodes. Like 3, skipping 4 and 5 and 6 are all over like 2 days, and I really like like how you see him grow just over that small period of time. Where like he's so obviously so concerned about that video of the fight, getting leaked, and he's he's freaking out that he's not having enough rest. He's losing his mind, and then when they get to the house, I love the bit where he's freaking out over the shoes. Like, what does this mean? I keep the shoes on, or keep the shoes off? And then I just think it's so awful how the moment he has to like take a risk, he just quotes Pretty Woman, and I love the way that Von Kovac is like that. Like he's like kind of disappointed. Like, come on. And I think that I like how you really do see like he is so close to blowing it, and you believe that he's so close to blowing it. Like if the promos for the show did not show him like in a Wonder Man suit at like a premiere, I'd be like, does he blow it in the show? And then obviously the dream sequence bit caught us all off guard. I think that was nuts, but I really like that because it is like it is the most base explanation of his fears that I like that he's not in his mind. He obviously like in the actual world is worried about getting figured out and not being able to work as an actor, but the scenario that he's imagining in his nightmare is not him being told he can't work as an actor. It's people he grew up with saying he's a freak. Like that's because like he would not feel it as deeply if it was just like a literal problem where if they find out I won't be able to be an actor, that would be like a thing that would make him nervous. But the reason why it's so painful is because what he's really worried about is them finding out that he's a freak, that he's a weirdo, that doesn't fit in, and that like that's a thing that I think we've seen a lot of superhero media that has like it's like, oh, it's about the outcast, this, that, the other, but like I don't know, this is a very unsexy outcast. This isn't like because with all like the superhero stories about outcasts, it's all about outcasts coming together. It's like the X-Men, like you're blue, I'm blue, let's be friends together. But it's like, no, this is just a guy who has never really had friends in his whole life because of a secret he has. People have always thought he was weird, and he's in his like mid-30s. And I think that's so crazy. I think you really feel that on it. It really feels like this is a guy who has never really been able to have strong human relationships because he is insecure about himself. And the way that Trevor helps him overcome that Trevor realizes like that is the thing that's standing away from him being a great actor. Like that, what you're talking about, that last bit of episode 6 where Trevor talks him into doing it. Which is like it's so special too because how do you visualize someone getting better at acting? Like when you're writing that, like how do we write a scene to show that he overcomes his demons to get better at acting?
And that's something I really liked about it too, where it's just like it wasn't. I think to a certain level, we're looking at a guy who's in a top agency, like shout out X Mile playing that agent, but like we're looking at a guy who got fired from American Horror Story, but got in the room for American Horror Story nonetheless. I don't think he's hurting in terms of skill, but he's hurting because he's in his own way. It's like he didn't have a problem getting the job. It's what happened when he got the job
Yeah.
that really
Yeah.
did it. And I think that's what, to serve Jake's point from earlier, like the real conflict is his relationship with himself, really, overall. And I don't know, I feel like that's why it works. And I know it's not typical superhero, to go back to what Tej was saying, but also I feel like the MCU kind of needs that
Yeah.
a little bit. Like I feel we're talking about an MCU show in a climate where superhero fatigue is still prevalent overall. And I'm always a big proponent of like, oh, yeah, the Marvel Cinematic Universe needs something beyond superheroes in order to, give it new life and give it spice. Like I would love to see the Pit in the MCU. I would love to see like Succession
Dr.
in
Robbie
the MCU.
Ravinovich.
That is a busy hospital. We think Pittsburgh has a busy hospital. The MCU hospital would be busy as fuck overall.
The amount,
But it's like,
the types of fluids
That would
that
be
Dr.
so good.
Whitaker would get on his scrubs, you wouldn't believe.
it would be wild. And I just feel like, oh, like why don't we see like a show like Succession? Like maybe Oscorp or something like that in the MCU. Having a show that's about like, oh, a guy getting out of his own way who happens to have superpowers feels refreshing. I think that's also why like my show, similar to how you like Miss Marvel, Tej, my show was She-Hulk. I had dated
She-Hulk.
someone in law school, and I was like, oh yeah, they really captured the way lawyers talk to each other and like their sensibilities and stuff. And I don't know, I feel like this is a breath of fresh air, and I hope they listen to it a lot more, especially nowadays.
Now, Teej, I have a question. I want to know what your take was on the reveal, because I thought it made me laugh out loud, actually. The reveal that Joey Pants was cast as Bartleby.
I thought that was pretty funny. I did give a laugh
Yeah.
because especially when he goes to jail to free him, and he's like, "Who played Barnaby?" And he's like, "It doesn't matter. Don't worry about it." I thought that was funny. Listening to y'all talk about what you like about the show is highlighting for me what I don't like about the show. Y'all have mentioned other shows. Y'all have mentioned other shows like Atlanta, like the Pit, God, how did I just drop
Barry the Studio?
Barry, love Barry. I think that putting a story about somebody who has some shame about anything, whatever the shame might be, and is causing them to not be the best version of themselves is such a good concept. But putting it into a Marvel TV show for kids is quite possibly the worst way to render it. Like, how you show, like Jake just said, how do you show that someone's being a bad actor? Well, I think the worst possible way to do that is to have him do a scene from Pretty Woman as opposed to do what the director just told him to do. Like that, to me, that doesn't track. It doesn't feel real. It's like if you were going to hide yourself, you would hide yourself, but you wouldn't hide yourself by completely disregarding what you were just told to do. You would hide yourself by not being a very good actor because you're so busy using so much energy focused on trying to hide this thing about you that you can't actually perform your job. But it doesn't make sense to me that he would just like be the biggest asshole on set and say, I'm going to make 19 changes to the script. And it doesn't make sense to me that they would just like, I'm just going to do Pretty Woman instead. Knowing that this director has probably seen Pretty Woman.
All this tracks for me. The Pretty Woman thing tracked for me a lot. I would believe that an actor would do that who is insecure about his ability to improvise. Honestly, maybe MOZIAH, I don't know if I'm alone here. We both know a lot of actors that didn't feel that felt pretty real to me.
Yeah, that felt very, very
Woman immediately, and I was like, "Is this Pretty Woman? Like, is he literally doing Pretty Woman right now?" I was completely confused by it.
Man,
I was completely confused by it.
I've seen people do this. I've seen people do it in improv. Like that's the biggest thing. Like quote something that they think other people haven't seen and then try and play it off as if it's theirs. I'm also with Jake here, where it's just like, yeah, it's not the most toyetic thing to show a guy auditioning and stuff like that. But then also, I don't know, if Marvel is trying to reach a mass audience, they shouldn't just be limited by making things like toyetic or good for young kids overall. A lot of the great stuff that Marvel does explores things that's great for everybody. WandaVision's one of the top TV shows.
Yeah, I was just about to mention that. There's a couple of things that I think about when it comes from the best Marvel TV shows is the way that they're able to examine the depths of characters and really get to the core of who people are. And WandaVision gets to Wanda's grief. and her personality, everything that she suffered, everything that she's gone through. And yes, they throw magic and they throw spells and they throw powers and all of that other stuff. And Monica
Totally.
Rambeau running across the field. That's great. Like
Mhm.
it adds to the whole spectacle of it all. However, at the end of the day, it still is a character examination, and you could say that with WandaVision, and you could say that with another great Disney Plus series, Loki. Loki, let me tell you, that first season of Loki,
Preach.
what people did not understand, I remember highlighting it at the time when we were talking about it, is the character examination of Loki when he's with Mobius in that interrogation thing. And Loki gets to see his whole entire life play out. And Mobius is just asking him, like, why do you do this?
Mhm.
And as he thinks about it, he's like, oh shit. Like the glorious purpose of it all. What is it? What is the purpose? And as both seasons play out, Loki learns this new aspect of himself that he never could have even envisioned previously. So I think when we talk about these shows, like when they're really at their best, it's about the not only the people playing the roles, but getting to the character and getting us to care about them. And when Marvel is at its best, that's what happens. And I think that's why this show is landing for a lot of people. More so than the idea. Yes, the acting motifs and the Hollywood stuff I think is great. I think it pulls a lot of people in and it pulls a lot more casuals in to watching it. But I think in terms of who would I when I think of the comic books and I think of Wanda Maximoff eventually getting with Simon Williams, why would those two work? I watched this series, and those two would totally work as a
Do you think
couple.
that they set up Vivian just to establish his proclivities?
Hey, all I'm just gonna say is Jungle Fever might be coming, folks. And I don't know if people are ready for
That's
that.
really funny.
But Jungle Fever might be
Wow.
coming in the MCU, folks.
That's
Just
really
give it a go.
funny.
Listen, if Simon Williams, if this character catches some legs, we get a season 2. Throw him in the Avengers. He meets Wanda one time,
Mhm.
buddy. Let me tell you, those
Okay,
two are a match.
hold on. I
That's a
gotta say a
question.
couple
That's
things.
a question maybe for another time. But is
Is
Wanda
yes.
alive after, do
Oh,
we
she
think
coming
Wanda's
back.
alive?
She coming
Did I
back.
see a body? Did I see a body with two cartoon X's over its eyes? No, I did not. She's alive.
She
Fair.
coming back.
It's
I saw.
easy.
I didn't see no X's over the eyes.
No.
Two
Go
things.
ahead, Teej. Yeah, what's
Two
up?
things. One, I still don't have an understanding of the shame because what it seems like is that the doorman thing is like contemporary to his time. Like doorman
Mhm.
happens before, like
Mhm.
in the timeline that we're in, but it's not like it happened 30 years ago,
No.
right? So that shame seems like it's something that comes from his childhood, but he
Yes.
lives in the world where the Avengers literally exist. Having superpowers is probably the coolest thing that you could ever have. Like if you're a kid growing up where there literally are Avengers, Captain America exists when he is a kid. It doesn't track for me that this shame that has enveloped his entire life
Not
is
everybody.
something that go ahead.
Here's the
If I
thing.
may, not everybody. If I may, Mosiah, just
Mhm.
and I'll let you go.
Yeah.
I don't think everybody views it that way. I think there are so many. I mean, just look at the X Men. Look at the history of the X Men. I just think there are certain mutants who just like, I don't want these powers. Why do
There
I
are no
have
X Men yet.
Also,
The X-Men don't
Teej,
exist
No,
yet.
but
Teej,
that's
until the end, have we seen
Yeah.
him successfully control his powers? Like, that's the thing. Like, if he's a kid, having a
Kind of when he beat up the guys in the alley.
sorry,
But he
yes,
kinda
as
used
an
some
adult.
super
Anyway,
shit.
sorry, Mosiah, you were
Yeah.
saying.
But also to serve this point, we in the MCU world, I don't think it's always the coolest thing to have powers because one, the Sokovia Accords. There's also
Mhm.
so many people. Imagine being a kid in class and hearing about, oh man, my dad had to deal with a superhero or something like that, and this kid is saying like, oh, like
Mm.
you're dealing with so many different things. I could see why something that someone who doesn't have it would think is cool. He would be like, oh man, this sucks overall.
And
This is like a huge weight.
mind you, it's so important to recognize that the scenes with his dad are important, and this was ingrained in him. He has to succeed because this is what the person that he looks up to most and at the time told him, son, I really believe in you. then there's nothing like your father telling you something that they believe you can and should do as a child.
Right.
So think about how that, and then he loses his father. So think about how that affects him throughout his life in thinking that this is the thing that he has to do. This is the thing that he needs to do.
I
Yep.
will also
And
say that I was
yeah,
imagining when I was thinking about why the the scene where the guy's pretending to be the kid talking to him. I'm thinking like I'm not thinking has superpowers. I'm imagining he's 6 years old and he accidentally like spills something on his desk and he gets mad and his desk breaks in half and everyone looks at him weird. Like that's what I'm not thinking about him having like fully formed powers. Like maybe they should have explored
makes
that,
sense.
but like there's a version of him not understanding how to use his powers that would be really embarrassing. Or like, what if it's like that's the kid who all
Absolutely.
the books fell off the shelf when he got really mad? Like that would be really
yeah.
people would look at you weird. So like
I mean,
I
it's
understand what you're
just
saying,
like
but
it's a nightmare thing for someone who struggles with emotional regulation, is what I see.
yeah.
Mhm.
Like that is even when he was fully grown, he was looking
Mhm.
at a self tape where his girlfriend, you know what I mean, was kissing him and everything,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden, the whole apartment complex suffered because
Yeah.
of it. I can imagine, oh man, someone made me a little bit mad or a little bit embarrassed on prom night. You know what I mean? Like that's terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
he's emotionally
And
distressed.
he has to
Like
live in
you
the
said.
Inland Empire. Jesus Christ, man, his life can't get any worse.
oh my gosh.
I wanted to go
Also,
around the. Y'all go. No, go ahead, Teach. Go ahead,
Pretty
Teach.
Woman
Sure.
made like $200 million at the box office. You can't walk into a director's audition and quote Pretty Woman and think that he's never seen. That
Of
makes
course,
literally
he's an
no
idiot.
sense.
He's
Julia Roberts
Yeah.
is one of the most famous people to ever exist. If you're gonna quote a movie, you would quote a movie that you really think that no one has ever seen,
first of all,
but you
Teach,
can't
it
do
has to be
it
a
because
movie.
it's a Marvel TV show. I
No, it
hate that.
has
I literally hate that.
No, it's not because it's a Marvel TV show. Oh, it's not because people have to have seen it. It has to be a movie that's owned by Disney or one of its subsidiaries. That's
That's
why.
bad too. That's what,
Disney was
but Disney owns movies that a lot of people haven't seen. Everyone has seen Pretty Woman. My
I understand.
grandma has seen Pretty Woman. Like that's crazy.
I have not.
Oh, it's a
But
good movie.
It's a
I
great
just
film. It's a great film.
I think that
Fire
was
it
the
up
whole
tonight. I love
Pretty
conceit
Woman.
of the scene.
I love
To
Pretty
be
Woman.
real, Teach. I think that was the point where it's just like, yeah, you're watching with your mom. You know, she's gonna sit down, and maybe to the untrained eye, it sounds brilliant. It sounds exactly like the premise. But then the mom is like, oh man, that sounds familiar. That's what makes the scene fun overall. And he's also an idiot. He's not the smartest guy. He is not the
Well,
smartest guy.
I think
at
it's
all.
like I think it's less even he's an idiot and more that he's the thing that was important to that scene to me was how long it takes him to do that. That he's clearly takes time hoping that something comes to him, and all what comes to him is a scene in a movie that was familiar to it, that's similar to what
Yep.
he's going through because it's comfortable for him. Like I think the thing about it is he is so scared of discomfort, and so like yes, I agree with you, Teach, that it would have made more sense if he would have picked something more obscure. But I don't know. I don't think in this scenario where he is on 0 hours of sleep, auditioning for the part he's wanted since he was a child, I'm not like he's making a lot of sensible decisions. Like that's just not what I'm thinking about what he's doing. But I think you're right. Like it would be, I think, better dramaturgically if he picked something more obscure. But I also love the way that I forget the actor's name, Von Kovac says. Like is so disappointed. Like, oh, we wanted to see a scene from Pretty Woman. Like, I think that actually makes it worth it. That it is like a
Yeah.
movie that everyone knows.
Yeah.
Because when I was watching it, I'm like, that sounds really familiar. And then it's like, all right, it's Pretty Woman.
Hey man, I can say honestly, and Teach, when this past weekend when you were bringing up Wonder Man and you were talking about other Disney Plus Marvel shows, let's have it. What's your pantheon? What's on your list that's at the top?
We're not going to compare this to the top level. You've already talked about WandaVision. You've already talked about Loki. We haven't mentioned X-Men. Maybe that's not even a proper comparison because that's animated. That is like the
I leave
gold
animated
standard.
to the side. Yeah.
Those are my gold standard shows. And then let's go to the bottom. That's where you have your Secret Invasions. That's where you have your. I know people like Moon Knight better more than me.
In a black site somewhere.
I hate Moon Knight. So this show is better than Moon Knight, which some people really like Moon Knight, but I absolutely hated Moon Knight. So
I like parts of Moon Knight.
To me, this show is right around that She-Hulk area, which people took great offense to because people hate She-Hulk. But I like She-Hulk, so I wasn't trying to be derogatory. Like I like She-Hulk. Like I think it's good. And I have it right there with the Bucky and Falcon show, which is fine.
Where's
I think
Hawkeye
MAGA
in this pantheon? Just out of curiosity, where's Hawkeye?
I would have Hawkeye slightly above Wonder Man. I have to go back and
Hawkeye was a
really dig
really
into
fun
Hawkeye,
time.
but I remember
That's the
having a good
yeah.
time with Hawkeye, especially when we
Ironheart?
got the Ronin part. Like that was
Hawkeye is a lot of
fucking
fun.
awesome.
It's a lot of fun.
Hawkeye's
It's a lot of fun.
It's a fun time.
Yeah.
It's a fun time.
And Wonder Man is fun
Ironheart,
too, but
where
like
is
just in a
this?
different
Because
way.
I'm trying to think
See?
of all the divisive ones, but
That's
like
when people get
Ironheart,
mad
where
at
is
me
it?
because I have Ironheart above this show because I really liked Ironheart.
Yep.
It's not
Oh,
a perfect
Ironheart's
show,
Teej was on the record. Teej was on the
but I
record.
thought it had a lot of heart. I really enjoyed Ironheart. I thought they did a pretty good job with it. And it's like zany enough to where I can get into it. Maybe if Wonder Man had like an actual villain and not the dopey FBI agent dudes, I would like it more. But like I really at some point I was like, man, this show needs a villain. I was kind of hoping that maybe the director would become the villain because I really wanted to see like parts of Wonder Man, like the film that they made. I wanted to see it, and then it was like, oh, we're gonna get the one scene, and then we're gonna pan out. We're gonna be back in the theater, and I was like, damn, I didn't get anything that I wanted. I didn't get a villain. I didn't get a fight. I didn't get to see any of Wonder Man. I wanted to see what they made on the screen that had everybody going so crazy. And it was just like, no, you just have to accept that the movie fucking rocks and everybody loved it. And it was like, damn, I really wish we could have saw a scene of that movie. And we did, but it felt like we only saw the scene so we could see who played Barnaby. And then it was like, all right, back into our world. And I was like, oh, I would have really loved to see what they made on the screen. And so I just felt like I feel like I spent a lot of my time like being like, this is fine, but I'm waiting for the payoff. And then I felt like once we got to the end, I was like, I never got whatever payoff I was looking for. I just didn't feel like I ever got it. But I would watch a season 2 of this show. I wouldn't watch a season 2 of Moon Knight, which they rumored for a million years. I was like, as soon as I finished Moon Knight, I was like, I don't care what they say about season 2. They could put my mom in season 2 of Moon Knight. I'm not watching that shit. I'm gonna watch the season 2 of Wonder Man.
Good old Jake Lockley.
Teej, if your mom was in Moon Knight season 2, do you think we could get her on the pod?
I think that would be considered a promo, so I think that she would be okay with that.
Cool. No, but I do want to briefly touch on. We haven't actually talked at all really about episode 5, which I thought was a fun episode, and it was kind of like I think it was like the most like sitcom-y premise where it's like we gotta get this guy, we gotta do this favor for this guy.
The footage.
Yeah, and those peach rings look delicious. Honestly, that was my main thought.
Fucking love peach rings. I'm in.
With like some chili on them, that sounds like honestly incredible.
Yeah, they show up at the door trying to do all the method acting stuff, and it's it's the Mandarin. It just cuts the whole shit off. That was the shortest episode of the series. Yeah,
I love the running joke that Trevor gets called out for being the Mandarin. Like he's had such a storied career. He has worked with a bunch of the greats, such as Joey Pants. But the thing that that people recognize him for is like, oh yeah, you were. It's like I would compare it to the guy that played Jar Jar, where it probably is just like he cannot escape being Jar Jar.
That's a pull.
So I mean that's the thing. I remember when I was sitting down to watch Iron Man 3, I'm like, you know, Ben Kingsley, Sir Ben Kingsley, Academy Award winner, he's going to play the Ahmed Best of the MCU, is what I'm about to see.
And I'm glad they did that, to be honest. They were talking about that. Destin Daniel Cretton was talking about that in an interview where it's just like always, you know, a very interesting character that they should elaborate on was the red herring Mandarin in Iron Man 3 overall. And I really am happy that the guy who fashioned up Shang-Chi and everything also ended up, you know, doing this show and then elaborating on that character when he easily could have been like, that wasn't the real guy. This is the real guy, and that's the end of that. So I'm really happy with the way that they handled Trevor. And I hope Trevor stays within the MCU in the same way. Because that bait and switch, I remember it being controversial when I saw it and everything. And being like,
it was controversial with a co-host of mine.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm a fan.
Yeah.
I was not. I'll just say, MOZIAH, I was not very happy with what went on there. Mainly because I thought Ben Kingsley was doing a tremendous job acting. He was acting his ass off in all the vignettes and whatnot. And then we get to the whole scene where Tony Stark finally confronts him, and then that shit just joke.
You know what I would compare that scene to? That
Yeah.
is the Ralph. That scene walked so that Ralph Boner could run. You know what I
That's true.
mean?
That is
Oh,
actually
great point.
true. Although
Great
it's
point.
I think it's better
Everybody was
executed.
going crazy.
It's
Everybody was going
it's
crazy.
executed better in Iron Man 3, I will say.
Yeah,
But
I will
I
say,
mean,
yeah, it is executed better, but also just as like disappointing. Where it's just like they know what we want, they
Mhm.
did something amazing, and then they kind of use a fart joke to say like,
Yeah.
"Oh, we didn't do
Yeah.
that."
because like it's like
Yeah.
we can't really do that, you know. We're not really gonna do that.
Not
But
really
the thing
gonna
I
do
did
it.
like about episode 5 and Note is that they know that like the guys they're talking to say that when they were growing up they would do the impression of the Mandarin, which is the thing I said last week. I said I wish that the Mandarin was a more popular character because I like to do the Mandarin impression, and I like that in universe they're like some people
Hello.
call me Batman. Like I just love that that's a thing that it's like and like you might people be like, oh, really they do an impression of like a terrorist? It's like absolutely. If you were 12 years old when the Mandarin broadcast happened, you would be doing Mandarin bits every single day at the lunch table. Some people call me a madman. I got the spicy chicken sandwich and French fries. Like, you know.
I
would like
also
to.
really love
Go
that the
ahead. Yeah.
conflict was Trevor's past overall.
Mm.
Like this whole thing happened because Trevor isn't always the most pleasant guy, and somebody had some beef with him from years ago. And so it kind of adds, I feel like it adds to what we see on like episode, in episode 7, where it climaxes just like all the trouble that I went through and all the shit that I went through was because of you. You know what I mean? Like it really added that for me overall. And also those
Yeah.
guys making snacks were hilarious. And that streamer and that guy asking for money for like the GoPro, like asking to steal back a bike, and it turns out that he wasn't in the wrong. Like that, all of that, all of that was that sold me.
Played by comedian Brandon Wardell, who I think mostly became famous through Twitter. So that's the thing. If you tweet enough, you eventually can end up in the MCU. So shouts to him.
Hey man. Yeah, it's a salute to that. What was each of your guys' favorite episode of the season? I'll just say episode 7 was my favorite. Episode 7 was my favorite by
6 is probably my favorite.
6 is your favorite? Yeah, 6 is a good one too.
That was great.
What about you, Mosiah?
3.
3.
3
3 is great. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Talk
Great.
a little bit. Were there any like specifics with the the Haitian Creole? Like, was it accurate? Did it feel like a get together at your family's house?
Yeah, 100%. Like it was super accurate. I wish they got licensed for like some Haitian, some of the like the bangers of Haitian culture. Like I wish they got like Sweet Mickey in there. I wish they got Richie Zanglen. You know what I mean? Like I wish they had like some of those in there because that would be huge to see. But I don't know. I remember seeing Iron Man in a similar fashion to like the flashback that they showed in episode 1 matinee, and with my mom, and being like, oh wow, I want to do this looks fantastic. So to see that, and then also 2 episodes later see, oh, he's Haitian and he's coming back home, and I don't know, inside that culture, a lot of my cousins, uncles and aunts are lawyers or doctors. They're in medicine or in law. So when you talk about acting and they're just like, how's work? The conversation is different overall. And you're having to explain to them, like, oh, you did this thing or you did Pokemon. Like, that means you're fine, right? No. And it's like, so you don't get royalties here? And you're like, it's complicated. And I really, really did appreciate that they could have gone, I don't know, because he's a man of color, they could have gone with anything. So for me, it was really, really special that they were like, okay, no, let's add a little bit of a nuance here. Let's add Haitian Creole, especially, I don't know, in this political climate and everything, where I'm gonna bring up what's the name of that show? The baseball show from Pixar. You know, they deleted a trans storyline and everything. Like to have that kind of representation and to allow it to and to see that like make it all the way to the top is amazing to me. And I hope they elaborate on it. I hope they continue. So yeah, that's why I like episode 3.
And how about you, Teej? What was your favorite episode?
Which episode was this self-tape episode? I
2.
like that one because that I feel like that's when we spent the most time watching them like trying
Yeah.
to get it right and trying to like find the scene, and that was the best stuff in this show to me was easily when they were like trying to act or trying to find a character. That stuff
Joey
was
Pants.
was great for me. I like, and Joey Pants was really funny, so I would definitely say it.
That's Joey Pants.
Episode
Oh,
one, the scene where we're introduced to him and he's overthinking his part, that I gotta say was a great opening and also one of the most painful scenes I have ever seen, which is what made it effective. It could have been like we were talking about, like the Hollywood of it all. It could have been a Hollywood show that makes Hollywood look great. There's been a history of representation of Hollywood actors that makes Hollywood look like the dream. You know what I mean? For centuries. So to see a show that's about like, oh man, this is really painful overall. Oh man, this isn't as successful. Is like, it's why I compare it to Atlanta. Atlanta could have been like the Cheetah Girls, where it's just like, oh, we just see these people be successful overall. But instead, they were like, no, let's make Curb Your Enthusiasm for rappers. You know what I mean? Let's see a guy, even in the best situations, still go through some fuck ups somehow, still deal with some shit. And so I feel like that makes for better television. It's also honest, you know? Like it's like Sopranos with the mafia, where it's like it's not always glitz and glamour. If anything, it's like mafia, like at the time, being a mafia member wasn't as trendy as it was when Goodfellas came out.
Yes, I mean the whole thing about The Sopranos, which I think is what makes it interesting, is it's a generation of mafiosos who missed the boat by like 20 years. They missed it being cool by like 20 years. You could say the same thing about Hollywood today. Whereas like anyone who works in Hollywood today, it's still gonna be good, but you missed the golden age of Hollywood by a couple decades.
100%, especially with everything coming out about like, you know, the process that we've been having, and you know, like guild deals and overall, and IAT, like it's not. I love the it's a sign of a bit of transparency, and I think that's what makes for good television, where it's just like rather than contriving it to make it look amazing, we're being honest about kind of the sucky parts of it. Is like, I would show that to a kid. I would show that to a little guy. It's like, you want to be an actor? Here's everything that it takes, you know?
In fact, if anything, like with the how uncomfortable Simon was throughout the show and the level to that, it kind of reminds me, and it's not as funny, but Rami. Rami, oh my gosh, Rami on Hulu. If you ever get a chance, it's an incredible show. And this dude, this dude who's trying to be Muslim but also trying to do a whole bunch of American type things. If he gets himself in so many scenarios and conversations where everything just ends up becoming very complicated and uncomfortable, and he doesn't know how to get himself out of a situation, and he always digs deeper. And it just reminds me of Simon digging himself deeper, just like that first scene that you mentioned. And that first scene kind of just illustrates and provides the backdrop for the entire series and what it means for Simon to get this and why he's so dedicated to it, and also why he can't get there. And that journey that plays throughout, they leave the breadcrumbs throughout the entire show. And then on top of that, I feel like they baked in the feeling about the power stuff. Like that's very X-Men like, that whole situation. So
100%.
especially with the Department of Damage Control and what that's going to end up being as far as the MCU, and we knowing that's going to return, and it starts here with this starts with actors with powers not being able to be in movies. It's going to turn into something else, and that's also like, if you're an MCU fan and you're like really like me, like thinking of these things very very insularly. I'm looking forward to that. Like when we get to the Spider-Man of it all,
Yeah.
and the Spider-Man of it all, Tremel Tillman's character, who like rumors are starting to come out who he might be, and that being involved with that particular aspect of what the Department of Damage Control is, eventually leads to when the X-Men reboot happens. And I'm sure by then there will be a much more prominent and more evil type of situation that mutants will have to deal with throughout the entire world. So
I'm really
that's kind of
excited
where
to
I'm standing
see.
there.
No, 100%. I'm really excited to see like a street level Spider-Man under, like, after seeing this, like after seeing what Destin Daniel Cretton did with this,
Oh yeah,
and also like his history with like Shang-Chi and Short Term 12, I think we're going to be seeing a much realistic portrayal, which is nice, especially like when you think about like the Homecoming series of it all, because it's like, oh, we're going to get to grow up with Peter. We're going to get to grow up with him and be at a place where it's just like, okay, he's not in high school where everything's convenient and everything and he could get away with certain things. He's older. He got a GED. The door is closed in certain areas. He's all alone. And I think being
yeah,
able to see the challenge of it, especially with a person that with a Spider-Man that we've now seen for 10 years, this is probably the longest Spider-Man that we've had. That's going to be
yeah.
really special. It's going to be really, really special.
And they're doing the whole, and in this movie they're doing the whole the Batman thing where Bruce Wayne just wants to be Batman, and that's it. That's all he cares about. He doesn't care about Bruce Wayne, and I feel like this is going to be a movie where Spider-Man's going to have to find the Peter Parker in him again because he's lost everything.
Right.
And now you're in a place where all he cares about is doing the superhero stuff, and then now he's now figuring that out and bringing in all of these wild cards into it that all the rumored and confirmed actors for this movie. It just creates such a powder keg for him. And how does this character not only deal with himself, but then also keep New York keep New York all right in that meantime? So all of that is going to be fun. And then you mentioned Destin Daniel Cretton, like right now, I would say in terms of everything that we've seen, like he just immediately shoots up to the top of like, okay, whatever he's doing as far as this property is concerned, I'm very intrigued. I mean, initially they were going to give him Kang Dynasty, so it's pretty clear that they had him high on their list, and the fact that he's
Sure.
doing this Spider-Man stuff is extremely exciting. So I hope they get to do season 2 of this. I think this is a show that can go on. I think I saw a little interview with the showrunner Andrew Guest where he said he has a story of how Simon can do the whole acting thing and go back to that with the Department of Damage Control and how that could potentially work for a season 2. So if they're able to do that and then maybe mix a tiny little sprinkle a little bit of superhero stuff in there, it doesn't have to go crazy, but sprinkle that in, and then maybe throw them eventually into the big sandbox. Maybe do West Coast Avengers at some point. There's enough of the characters now that you can do something like that with Kate Bishop and Shang-Chi. You could do
Totally.
something like that on the West Coast. So I feel like there's a way for this to continue to work and be something as far as Wonder Man is concerned that could grow into something really special. So
We
I'm very
have to
excited.
get this comedian dude to not be the face of the Damage Control. That is a nothing part. Every moment he was on screen was a complete, absolute.
I don't think he's going to be the
fuck
face of
noise for
Damage
me.
Control. I don't
He's
think
He's not the face of it.
If
He's
that is going to be
definitely
how we get villains, we're gonna have some real evil shit going on. Not a fucking dude making jerk off jokes or whatever. I hated that character. I absolutely. I felt. We have to do something with that. That shit was awful. Every second he was on screen was like so slow death for me. And there's nothing wrong with him. I like him and stuff. It's not his fault.
Yeah.
He had nothing to do, bro. Please put somebody evil in that spot so we can have some fun. What the fuck are we doing, man?
Oh wow!
I hate
Wow,
that.
Man.
Teej is riled up. I
What we
love it.
need, they should have gave Joey Pants some superpowers. That's what
Yeah.
we're missing here.
Oh my god, Teej, I feel pretty comfortable in saying I promise you that dude will not be the face of the
Get
Department
him
of Damage
out.
Control.
If I see him on screen with one X-Men at any point in the MCU, I'm out, bro. Get him away when it's time for
He's
mutants,
done.
bro. They will
You
murder
heard
the man.
You heard him, Kevin Feige. He's done. He no more. No.
Wolverine will murder that man. He won't even think twice about it. Please, bro.
Oh gosh, I love it. I love it. Let me go around the room before we go with some final thoughts. In this instance, Jake, I'll start with you. Final thoughts on Wonder Man and how you felt about it, and as it leaves you.
I mean, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it as a proof of concept that they can not follow the same formula. Like, I mean, if I implore you guys to, if you want to read Aman Vellani's review of it, she's obviously one of the smartest people about the MCU, and she
Yeah.
talked about, like, yeah, that this is a good experiment, and, like, it worked for the most part, and I hope it begets more things like it. And I don't know. I think that Yaya is just really a star, and I feel like he's a guy who hasn't gotten like it kind of sucks that this is like his big opportunity to have a huge star making part, given that like this is his third superhero property really.
Yeah.
But like I'm glad that he's able to show all of this. I'm glad that he seems to like doing it, and like just like the fact that Sir Ben Kingsley's in like a buddy comedy and he's like great in it for Marvel. Like we're spoiled, and like that's the thing that I try to remind people, like we're really spoiled that we get so much like interesting people doing this shit, because we are talking about like fifth-tier comic book characters. Like, so I'm just glad that this show exists in the way it does.
Oh, 1000%. Teej, how about you? What are your final thoughts as far as this series is
Season
concerned?
2, easy. Put Iman Vellani in this show. Just put her in there. Just have her go out there for some fucking field trip or whatever. Put her in LA. All of a sudden, she gets cast in a movie or something, and put her in a car or put her on screen with Kingsley, with Yaha, and just let them play.
No,
off
she's
each
a
other.
PA. She's a PA.
Oh, that's perfect. Put her in there. Make her. She is a fucking star. Everything that she says and does is hilarious. If you do that, I don't even need a villain. We can just keep doing vibes for season 2. Iman Vellani, put her in everything. I just want to see her in every MCU product possible. I just think that she's amazing. I think she's being underutilized. She literally carried the Marvel movie. Like the Marvels is a movie that works way better than it should, specifically because she's in the film. Like I just want to see her in more stuff. I love her.
1000%.
I love her.
1000%. I could not agree with you more as far as Iman Vellani. More of her in everything. Somebody who wants to do this. So I think that's a very important piece of this. How about you, Mosiah? What are your final thoughts on Wonder Man?
My final thoughts. I think about that scene in episode 3 where
Mhm.
Trevor, they're talking about like waiting by the phone, and Trevor's just like, the job is not getting the job. The job is acting, and you can find so many ways to do it. And there's so many ways this show could have played out. You know what I mean? It's not, it is seductive to make something that isn't as glamorous look glamorous if you have control over it. And they didn't go that route. They went the route of let's tell the truth about this and the ugly truth. And the fact, I don't know, it ticks a lot of boxes for me personally, as a Haitian man, as an actor, like as a superhero fan overall. Like this was really, really special to see. And I hope that they continue on that path. I hope, similar to Jake, I hope that they see this and they take more swings that go beyond what's immediately toyetic overall, because I think that that will solve the superhero fatigue that we're feeling overall. So this one for me, this was awesome.
Initially, what I had heard about this show years ago, not only before it was shot, but when it initially was first shot, and then the writer's strikes happened, was a very different show than what this turned out to be. And I will
Mm.
say I'm very happy that this show turned out the way that it did, because while you can get the comic book stuff, and while you can get some of the villains and some of the fights and stuff like that, we've seen it all over these past 10 to, well, what are we now, like 15, 16 plus years in the MCU, as it's been going on for so long. Sometimes different is good. Sometimes taking a chance on doing certain things differently is important. And I think a show like this is important, not only to Mosiah's point, but to the point that when you examine these characters and you take a look at them, and you're able to find something or someone as vulnerable as Simon Williams is, and despite how much of it feels like not only he's a tough hang, but as like, what is wrong with this person, I felt so much empathy. I felt so much sympathy for him, for what he has gone through and everything like that. It so much so that I want to see where this character goes. I want to see his relationship with Trevor, the fact that he was able to get past that whole betrayal thing because of all the good things that Trevor did do for him at the same time. So there is this very human element to it all that makes, when MCU shows are good, this is what it does. And the level of creativity that they were able to take it to, uh, as far as this show was, I just felt very happy watching it. I felt very satisfied watching it, and I'm ready for this to continue and even if it's not necessarily a rush to throwing him in with the Avengers or throwing him in with another team or something like that. He doesn't have to do that necessarily at first. I think I would like to see another season of him as an actor, completely finding himself, and I would like to for them to explore the relationship with his brother a little bit more too. I think that was something that was because I think people don't know in the comic books his brother is a villain, the Grim Reaper, and they
Wait,
have a
what?
very yeah, in the comic books, his brother is the Grim Reaper of
That's
a
way
villain.
more fun. Why couldn't we have done that?
Whoa.
That's way more fun.
It's not too late.
So no, it's not. That's what I'm saying. It's not too
Yeah.
late. Like they can still get there. They showed a little bit of kind of like he's a very intelligent person, technologically sound. That they could do some stuff with that if they want to. But like for right now, like you could like just a little inkling in episode 3 to Mosiah's point was something that could show what that relationship, the conflict that could develop throughout, even though they ended in a good place in episode 8. So just saying, like that's out there too. So like there's many places and many things that they could do to tweak and add to it and place it. But the bottom line is Wonder Man's a really good show. You should watch it. And I look forward to hopefully them getting a season 2. I say this much. Marvel has put the feet to the fire in terms of getting themselves behind the show. More so than I would have thought. So I want to just see the Wonder Man keep going, and I appreciate this panel. This was a really fun conversation.
This
Happy
was
to have
awesome,
you
guys.
guys. Yes.
Yes.
Overall, I want to thank our guests for joining us. First, Mosiah, thank you for gracing us with your presence once again. Where can we find you, my friend? Where can we find you on all socials?
So you could find me. I'm mainly on Instagram, mosiah.jpg. Right now, I would suggest finding me on all streaming platforms. We just came out with my second album called Jesse's Older
Okay.
Brother. Check it out. It's an indie movie you could put in your pocket. We made it with a lot of love, and we are currently rolling out the film for Jesse's Older Brother right now. So I've been posting little snippets of it on my YouTube, on Instagram, and now on streaming platforms. So check it out. Would love it. And yeah, just stay tuned.
Wonderful, wonderful stuff,
Very
man.
dope.
Thanks for joining us once again. And Teej, our favorite pal. Well, where can tell the people where you can find your wonderful Twitter page?
I'm on
You're
Twitter. Les_humble Teej. Also, I don't know what y'all favorite Blade movie is. I know y'all doing Blade soon. We need to get Blade made. Who do we have to call? Do we have to force Coogler to do another MCU movie after Black Panther 3? Why can't we
now
get another
is
Blade
the
movie?
time. Now is
Everyone loves Blade. Like, come on. Wesley Snipes is ready to do it. Just give us a Blade movie. It doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to play into the larger storyline of the MCU at all whatsoever. Blade 3 is kind of a joke.
Yeah.
Let's just act like Blade 3 didn't happen and pick up from Blade 2 and let's just go. Why not? Let's do it.
I mean,
we're in
We're all-
economic crisis. This is the best time for a vampire movie.
Facts. You see what Sinners did. If there's any time that we can get a Blade movie off the ground, it's off the back of Sinners. Please, Feige, make it happen.
Wow, passionate Teej tonight. I love it.
I love Blade.
Oh man, listen, man. As people know on this show, we've been talking about the developmental hell of the Blade movie for a very long time.
for a long enough time where that's how you know it's developmental hell.
it was developmental hell when we were talking about it in 2023.
Mahershala
now
Ali,
2026.
when Mahershala Ali walked out on that Comic-Con stage with a Blade hat on, the novel coronavirus was not even a whisper in the wet markets of China.
It's unbelievable, man. It's unbelievable.
That's actually very true. Very, very true. July 29th, 2019.
I remember how crazy it was. I'm like, holy shit, Mahershala's playing Blade. He just won his second Oscar. He's gonna play Blade.
And then 7 years later, here we are. Oh God.
Yep.
Sad.
But Teej, you're right. There's no reason for them not to
And we
do
will
it
discuss
before.
it at length. I'm sure it'll be a common topic of conversation in the next 3 months on Patreon.
Yes.
If we get
so,
Mahershala and Wesley Snipes on screen together, Feige, I will hug you
Wait,
myself. Just
wait.
please.
Hey, Teej,
Just
do you know
please.
that the James Cameron Aliens pitch story? Do you know that story? Where he went in when he went in to pitch a sequel for Alien, he walked up to a board, wrote Alien on it, right? Then wrote an S on the end of Alien, and then turned the S into a dollar sign. That's what he did. So imagine going in
That's
to
so
a Marvel.
good.
Imagine going to Marvel, right? Blade, then Blades, and then the dollar sign, baby. That's
That's all you got to do.
Yo, a No Way Home for Blade would be crazy. Like where like
That would
one
be
blade and
so
another
fucking
blade have
fire.
to like learn how to work
Especially after
together.
what, well, especially after what Wesley did in Deadpool and Wolverine, saying that oh,
Hundred
he won.
percent.
Yeah. They hate each other at first, but they have to work together begrudgingly. Come on.
Oh, it
There.
writes
It's
itself. It writes
there.
itself. It's
Yeah.
right there.
The
And
thing
once
is-
again, we are in an economic crisis,
Because the
which
thing
if you
too is
look
that,
at
like-
history, it is the
Vampires.
perfect time for a vampire
The thing-
movie.
the
The
thing is-
Twilight franchise,
Mhm.
Sinners, like what's it called, like Interview with a Vampire. The money's
Yes.
down, which means vampires are up. We gotta lock in.
Yeah. The thing too is, you know whose personality the character Blade would really not like? Blade. You put two blades together, they're not gonna like each other.
That's a great point. Great point.
Yeah.
Yeah, there'll be plenty more Blade.
And Mia Goth is over there like, Blades, you have to stop the vampires.
Jesus. Oh man. And that is the wonderful stylings of Jake Christie. Jake, where can we find you, sir?
You can follow me on Twitter at the J Christie, on TikTok at the J Christie, doing the museum of Twitter. Give you a little guys a preview for what's coming if you're listening in the morning at 4:30 today. I finally bit the bullet. I did the tweet of y'all want some pilk, which is where someone mixed milk and Pepsi, and I did drink milk and Pepsi on the video. You're welcome. I don't feel great.
Oh,
I
Why
don't
did
feel.
you do that?
Why did I do that? Because I'm covering the tweet about y'all want some pilk.
Oh, got it. Okay.
And like, let's
For the
be honest,
content.
Teej, if I didn't do that, every comment would be, "How do you not drink the pilk?"
That's a good point. That's disgusting. That's
It is disgusting.
is
I think it's think about it
That's
is
commitment right
the thing
there.
about it is
That
like
is-
it's
yeah.
not like spit it out. The problem with what it is it's like the uncanny valley version of a Coke float. Like it's like it has flavors that are familiar
Makes
that it's like, but this is it's just nothing. Like it's like you want it to be, but it's like it's not that. And so it almost feels like what you get at the bottom of a Coke float when all the ice melts. Like that's what it tastes like. It does not taste good, but I drink it on camera because I do it for you. For you listening or watching right now, I do it for you.
Wait, you just sipped it or you drank the whole thing?
I drank about half a glass. I ended up not drinking all of it because the reason this is the thought process I had, and I even said this in the video. I got halfway. I didn't like chug it because that's not my vibe. But I got halfway through it, and my stomach started giving myself a signal, which was, Jake, you're not 20 years old anymore. You can't do this. Like, because also the instructions the person who made it with whole milk, so I got whole milk, and like that was a problem too. So I was not. My thought is, I'm like, I have to record a pod later tonight. I'm not gonna fucking vomit on stream. I'm not gonna do that. And so I drink half the glass of milk. Anyway.
Wow. Jake Christie, man of the people, as always.
Yeah.
He does it again. Incredible work by you. Shout out to Pilk, I guess.
This podcast is sponsored by Pilk.
You can follow me on Twitter at AnthonyCanton_3. Follow the show at MC University Pod on all platforms. Subscribe to the YouTube channel and the Patreon. Appreciate everybody for supporting, listening, and watching. And with that being said, for MOZIAH and Teej and Jake, this is Anthony Canton III, and this has been Marvel Cinematic University, and we will talk to you next time.